I've been waiting to do a video on New Zealand for a while now, so I hope you guys are ready. Number 10. Larnock Castle. One of the spookiest places in New Zealand, the Larnock Castle is famous for being one of the few castles in the country. The story goes as follows. The castle's ballroom was gifted by Larnock to his daughter Katie on her 21st birthday. Unfortunately, she passed away young due to typhoid cancer. His first two wives also passed away while in this castle, and he himself took his own life after learning of his son and third wife's affair. Later, the castle was also a mental hospital during the international conflicts. While Katie is seen swirling in the ballroom, he too has been spotted roaming around the corridors. Instances of people being pushed, touched on the back, and others have also been reported. Number 9. King Seat Hospital. This chilling former psychiatric hospital was active between 1932 and 1999. Today, people claim it is one of the most haunted places in New Zealand. Allegedly, patients endured horrific abuse, while more nurses passed away at the hospital than patients due to apparent emotional and psychological abuse. People claim that gray nurses roam the corridors at night and screams can be heard. However, spookers own the property now and have turned it into a haunted tourist attraction. Number 8. Waitomo Caves Hotel. Known as one of the most haunted hotels in New Zealand, people have seen, felt, and heard creepy noises and screams, while it is said that former staff members roam the hallways, and an executed Maori princess often pulls at bedsheets and moans in the attic. Interestingly, another report claims that a male guest ended himself in room 14 after an encounter with the princess, and blood sometimes drips from his bathtub. Plus, a maid's child who passed away in the hotel can sometimes be heard laughing, and hotel guests' kids have described a mysterious boy following them. Indeed, this hotel is seriously spooky. Number 7. Napier Prison. Since being built in 1862, this place was home to a prison, a mental hospital, and an orphanage. The three main creepy things. Drenched in an eerie atmosphere, you can bet it's as creepy as it sounds. Supposedly, serial executioners haunt the prison. Ghostly faces have been seen, terrifying noises can be heard, and more. The prison even intrigued Ghost Hunters, an international TV series that filmed there back in 2011. If you're not a scaredy cat like myself, you can head on a prison tour to try to encounter the supernatural yourself. Number 6. Lake Alice Hospital. Another brutal psychiatric hospital that will have you jumping out of your trousers. Factually, patients were subjected to inhumane abuse here, such as electroconvulsive therapy, SA, and physical abuse. Additionally, former staff described being touched and feelings of coldness and more. The hospital closed in 1999. What happened here is unspeakable, and it reminds us of a disturbing horror film. Certainly, it's one of the most haunted places in New Zealand. Number 5. Tongarakau Ghost Town. This place is so spooky that it's even called a ghost town. Signs to the town of Tongarakau say ghost town, accompanied by goat skins slung on either side. Should you dare to turn into the town on this secluded section of the Forgotten World Highway in the North Island, you'll be met with a campground surrounded by rolling hills and working farm. Things have changed since the tunneling and railway days where 1,200 people used to live there. Now, well, it's a ghost town. Number 4. Otira Tunnel. If an 8.5 kilometer or 5.3 mile tunnel running right underneath the Southern Alps wasn't scary enough, the Otira Tunnel is also said to be one of the most haunted places in New Zealand. One of the people who passed away during its construction, a Scottish construction worker, is said to be wandering around trying to find his way home. Not that you will get much chance to help him as you pass through the tunnel inside the Transalpine that goes through Arthur's Pass. Number 3. Alberton Hotel. Retired Heritage New Zealand employee John Webster was looking down from Alberton's upper veranda and saw a lady on the lawn wearing a long, old-fashioned dress. He only saw her momentarily, then she was gone. He went downstairs to see who it was dressed up for the occasion, but she was nowhere to be found. John was very attuned to experiencing ghosts of people and animals during his time as curator at Ewelm, where he and others witnessed such sightings. Ronnie didn't see ghosts at either Ewelm or Alberton, even though she worked weekly at both. But she did confess to saying that there was something strange about the Alberton nursery and the Blue Room, alongside having a feeling of unhappiness or sadness there. Number 2. Ewelm Cottage. Ewelm Cottage is a historic house on Eyre Street in the suburb of Parnell, Auckland, New Zealand. Ewelm Cottage is named after the church of the same name. It was built mostly of kauri in 1863 and 1864 for Church of England clergyman Reverend Vicessimus Lush and family while he was vicar of All Saints Church, Howick. This was so that his sons could attend the Church of England grammar school in Parnell. Regarded as one of the most haunted places in the city, it is claimed to be haunted by spirits of women and children. The house is reputedly haunted in particular by a young girl who has reportedly appeared by an oak tree in the garden. According to a former curator of the historic home, sightings of ghosts at Ewelm Cottage date back to 1945. Because of claimed hauntings, it was visited by a team of paranormal investigators in 2005 and featured on Ghost Hunt, a New Zealand television show. Number 1. The Pump House Theatre. The Pump House Theatre is located in the picturesque Killarney Park, which sits on the edge of the equally beautiful and intriguing Lake Pupuke. The Pump House operates as a venue for hire for the performing arts. It hosts a wide range of theater from plays, musicals, dance, stand-up comedy, and many other kinds of events. But those who find themselves in the Pump House Theatre alone at night have reported a presence in the building. Is the resident spirit of the theater awaiting their cue to take center stage? Well, Lake Pupuke is a heart-shaped freshwater lake formed around 140,000 to 150,000 years ago, occupying a volcanic crater between the suburbs of Takapuna and Milford on Auckland's North Shore. The heart shape is a result of a formation by the linking of two circular craters. In Maori folklore, a myth surrounding the lake tells of a Tupua couple, the children of the fire gods, quarreling with Mahuika, the fire goddess, about their home on the mainland being destroyed by Matahoa, a god of earthquakes and eruptions sent by Mahuika. Lake Pupuke resulted from the ensuing destruction, causing Rangitoto Island to rise from the sea. The mists surrounding Rangitoto at certain times are considered the tears of sadness from the Tupua couple, grieving for their former home. Back in New Zealand again. I'm your host Youssef, and these are 10 scary laws in New Zealand you should never break. Make sure you subscribe and ring that bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Anyways, let's head down under. Number 10, it's a crime to deface a banknote. Under the Reserve Bank of New Zealand Act 1989, it's a crime to willfully deface, disfigure, or mutate banknotes. Any person who breaks this law will face a fine up to $1,000. The idea of the law is to try and preserve paper money. In 2000, filmmaker Taika Waititi broke the law when he painted money as a part of an art project. Number 9, New Zealand will deny residency visas if a person's BMI is too high. The New Zealand Immigration Services require migrants to undergo a complete medical examination. This includes a body mass index test, or a BMI test. There have been cases where New Zealand has denied immigration to those who do not have a healthy BMI. Our country has an obesity problem, and New Zealand is among the top 3 fattest countries in the world. The law was put in place for budgetary reasons. A spokesman for New Zealand's Immigration Services said NZ's healthcare system can't afford to have more overweight people in the country. Number 8, the authorities can legally confiscate your land. Auckland landowners should keep a strict eye on their land. If your land is near the Waitemata to Manukau Harbour Canal, the authorities have the right to confiscate it. This is under the 1908 Auckland and Manukau Canal Act. It can take the land from time to time, whether within or without the limits of its jurisdiction. Number 7, atomic energy laws. The 1945 Atomic Energy Act requires anyone who finds uranium in New Zealand to report it to the government within 3 months. You have to report where you found the uranium also. Failing to comply is a criminal offense. Also, every high school in the country is allowed to have 1 pound of uranium and 1 pound of thorium for conducting experiments. But if there's ever a nuclear explosion, schools will have to pay a $1 million fine. Number 6, the Wanganui River has the rights of a living person. After being officially confirmed under New Zealand law, the Wanganui River has the exact same rights as a human being. The local Maori tribe has fought for the recognition of their river for 140 years. In a world first, the river has a legal personality with all the rights and liabilities as an actual person. Harming or abusing the river is no different to harming the tribe or any other New Zealander. They're one in the same. It's a unique status that recognizes the significance of the river to the region's people. So whether you've got uranium in the shed or some land in the Waitemata to Manukau harbor area you'd like to keep hold of, watch out for New Zealand's odd laws. Number 5. Wearing a disguise. In New Zealand, it is illegal to wear a mask or any face covering with the intent to disguise your identity in a way that would be likely to intimidate, threaten, or offend others. This law is primarily aimed at preventing crime or disorderly behavior. The law regarding wearing disguises in New Zealand is primarily covered under the Crimes Act 1961. It was established to address situations where individuals intentionally conceal their identity to intimidate, threaten, or offend others. The law aims to maintain public order and prevent the use of disguises for criminal activities such as robbery or harassment. Number 4. Selling or distributing fireworks. While fireworks are often associated with celebrations, in New Zealand it is generally illegal for individuals to sell or distribute fireworks. However, there are certain exceptions, such as public fireworks displays authorized by the local authorities. The restrictions on selling or distributing fireworks in New Zealand are governed by the Hazardous Substances and New Organisms Act 1996 and the Fireworks Regulation 2001. These regulations were introduced to ensure public safety and reduce the risk of accidents or injuries caused by unregulated use of fireworks. The law allows for authorized public displays to take place under controlled conditions, but generally prohibits the sale or distribution of fireworks to individuals. Number 3. Noisy footwear. In New Zealand, it is against the law to wear noisy footwear in public places with the intention of annoying or offending others. While not specifically defined, this law is aimed at preventing people from intentionally wearing footwear that creates excessive noise in public areas. The noisy footwear law falls under the Summary Offences Act 1981. It was established to address situations where individuals deliberately wear footwear that creates excessive noise in public places to annoy or offend others. The law aims to maintain public peace and prevent disturbances caused by intentional noisemaking in public areas. Number 2. Forbidden to publish information about court proceedings. In some cases, it is illegal to publish or broadcast details about court proceedings in New Zealand. This law aims to protect the privacy and reputation of individuals involved in court cases, especially in cases where there are name suppression orders or other legal restrictions. The restrictions on publishing information about court proceedings in New Zealand are primarily governed by the Criminal Procedure Act in 2011 and the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990. These laws aim to balance the principles of open justice and the right to a fair trial with the protection of individuals' privacy and reputations. They allow for certain restrictions, such as name suppression orders, to be imposed on specific cases to protect the interests of the parties involved. Number 1. Restrictions on possessing offensive weapons. New Zealand has strict laws regarding the possession of offensive weapons. It is illegal to possess, carry, or use weapons such as flick knives, knuckle dusters, or tasers without a lawful purpose or proper authorization. The laws regarding offensive weapons in New Zealand are covered under the Arms Act 1983. These laws were established to regulate the possession, use, and distribution of weapons that have a higher potential for harm or misuse. The aim is to maintain public safety and reduce the violent incidents involving offensive weapons.
In my opinion, New Zealand is one of the most beautiful places in the world. You have a rich history in Maori culture and a rugby team with a chant scary enough to keep you away. At number 10 spot, we have the Three Witches of Auckland. In the heart of Auckland is a public park known as Auckland Domain, and apart from this beautiful green scenery, this place has a darker history attached to it. Inside of this park is a sculpture that is quite different from others you may see. That's because this sculpture is of the three witches who were brutally executed inside of the park during the early 1800s. I mean, this was a time where witchcraft was believed by many, and unfortunately a lot of people would fall victim to this. So sometime during the 1800s, 3 accused witches were caught by the townsfolk and were hanged inside of the park. From what we know now, these people were probably just completely normal human beings, and due to this unjust death, it's said that their spirits still wander the park grounds. In some parts of the park, visitors report hearing distant cackling made by a group of ladies, and others report seeing a tall, thin figure wandering throughout the trees. If you go too deep in the woods at night, it's no surprise if you come out covered in cuts and scratches, as if something has scratched you with long, sharp claws, and many believe these are the witches. At a number 9 spot, we have Napier Prison. Located in Napier Hill is the Napier Prison, which was built in 1862 and lasted over 130 years until it closed in 1993. Surprisingly enough, this prison was once used as an orphanage and then a psychiatric hospital. So it's really no surprise at all that this place is considered one of the most haunted places in all of New Zealand. During the time it was active, this place was the last place many people saw in their lives because many death sentences were done inside of this prison. The most notorious of the death sentences was the one given to Roland Edwards. He was a mass murderer who was sentenced to death in the gallows, but ever since this happened, he has been said to haunt the prison with a special appearance on the anniversary of his death. He passed away on July 15th, so this is when many paranormal investigators visit the prison for the chance to speak to Roland. Now, there are ghost tours that go through the prison, but make sure you never go alone, because nighttime security guards often report unexplained footsteps and doors slamming on their own when they walk the grounds. At number 8 spot, we have Harbour Bridge. Located in Auckland is the Auckland Harbour Bridge. The 8-lane stretch of road is New Zealand's largest bridge, but it also could be one of the most haunted. Story goes that in the early 1980s, a man was found dead just underneath the bridge. After an autopsy, it was discovered that he had drowned after an accident caused him to fall into the water. Now, some people who have visited the bridge have reported to see the apparition of this man either walking on top of the bridge or swimming below with only his face peeking out. And this might not be the only ghost at the bridge, because during its construction, 4 workers fell to their deaths under the bridge as well. However, none of their bodies were recovered. So if you happen to be driving over this bridge, I would advise you not to look down and just be sure to stop for nothing. At a number 7 spot, we have the Sea Cliff Lunatic Asylum. In Sea Cliff, New Zealand lies one of the most haunted asylums in the world. It's so haunted that the forest surrounding the place is known as the Enchanted Forest or the Haunted Forest. This is for the amount of spirits that come from the jail into the neighboring woods. This asylum was very notorious for having many structural issues. This included a partial collapse throughout the prison, but the worst was the constant fires that would erupt inside of the place. One of the fires in 1942 swept through Ward 5, which was a wooden outbuilding, and unfortunately the fire trapped many inside, resulting in the deaths of over 37 female patients who didn't even get a chance to escape. Apart from the fire, this asylum treated their patients very wrong. Many were abused while others were misdiagnosed and had to spend years of their lives inside of this hellhole. Most of the old buildings on the land were demolished in 1992 due to structural defaults and are now gone. The last few hospital buildings outside the reserve have now been renovated, and a family now resides on the private property. However, there are still reports claiming to see the former patient's apparitions, but they don't seem to be very hostile. It's just very sad. At number 6 spot, we have St. James Theatre. In the capital city of Wellington lies the St. James Theatre, which opened its doors to the original Royal New Zealand Ballet in 1912. After being open for over 100 years, there were bound to be a few ghosts who found this place as a home. One of the ghosts many staff members report include the ghost of a Russian dancer named Yuri. Story goes that this dancer passed away after faulty equipment caused him to fall from the theater's rigging. However, another darker side to the story suggests that it wasn't an accident, and instead he was pushed by a fellow performer named Pasha. And you may think he came back as a very vengeful spirit, especially if he was pushed out, but that's just not the case. Apparently Yuri has saved the lives of one of the workers after pushing them out of harm's way. However, the majority of ghosts inside of the theater are not as good as Yuri. Another notable ghost is the Wailing Woman, who is said to be an old actress who ended her life in the theater after being booed. Now she is said to cause misfortune and bad luck to any girl that disrespects her. Right in the hub of our list, we had the Watamo Caves Hotel. The Watamo Caves Hotel was constructed on a hill in 1908, and it was refurbished 20 years later to accommodate more guests because of the increased popularity of the underlying Watamo glowworm caves. But before the hotel, the site served another role. It was sacred land to the Maori, and it is supposed to be inhabited by the Tanewa, which is a guardian or entity who lurks in deep pools and rivers, dark caves, and even at sea. Another entity that inhabited the area were the Patuparihi. I'm so sorry for mispronouncing that, but these guys were pale-skinned creatures who were said to lure people to their deaths, kinda like how sirens do when they play mesmerizing music and they sing. Visitors of the hotel haven't had a best time at the place due to the supernatural activity that happens within. Lights begin to flicker when you stay in the hotel for too long, and others report a strange force as if someone is walking right through them. Guess I know where to book in order to finally feel something. Number 4, Spirits of Ross Island. This one doesn't happen directly in New Zealand, rather it involves New Zealand residents and their airlines. In November 1979, Air New Zealand Flight 901 would fly right into Mount Erebus on Ross Island, Antarctica. This crash killed all 237 passengers on board and 20 crew. Instead of leaving them in the cold, the bodies were found kept at the McMurdo station nearby. Those who visit the base leave with a feeling of unease and discomfort, similar to the feeling that they're trespassing in a place they're not wanted. People have reported hearing strange voices, feeling as though they're not alone, and having seen footsteps in the snow when there's no one else around. At number 3 spot, we have the Watapu. This is a private beach located in West Auckland coastline. At first glance, this place is a sight for sore eyes, and I guarantee many of us have seen these photos on some type of travel website. However, the history of this place will make you think twice before going on your next beach day. Over its years, the region has been a place of murder, people taking their own lives, and various drownings. For example, in 1863, just outside of the beach, a ship named the HMS Orpheus encountered heavy waves, which eventually broke the ship apart, causing the deaths of 189 people. This would be New Zealand's worst maritime disaster to this day. Ever since this disaster, people have seen many of the ghosts along the coastlines. Others see ghost ships that appear and disappear out of nowhere, while others claim to see the bodies floating and peeking out of the water, looking towards the beaches. At number 2 spot, with the Maori warrior mask. For those who don't know, the Maori people are the indigenous Polynesian people of New Zealand. They were well known for sculpting facial masks prior to fighting in a war. These masks were not only made for art, but to honor their ancestors. Any man who passed away during the battle while wearing these masks is said to have left his soul behind as well. Overall, Maori masks were employed to protect a person's soul. Experts have discovered a number of Maori masks that were previously belonged to very noble soldiers. They say that Maori masks are in fact cursed though. The curse itself is not dangerous to men, however for women who are pregnant, they have a different story. They should avoid touching or wearing them since they are harmful and will bring ill luck to them. A British museum took this warning very seriously, posting signs about the curse to warn all women. Maori tradition dictates that a pregnant or menstruating woman is tapu or taboo, and so are the artifacts, meaning that if the two come in contact, a curse may be invoked. At our number 1 spot, we have the Vulcan Hotel. Located in St. Bathans is another one of New Zealand's most haunted hotels, except this one may be a little bit more disturbing than the other ones. Story goes that a young courtesan named Rosie worked at the hotel back in the gold rush days in the 1860s. She was loved by many, but I mean, that was her occupation. Back in those days, there were many lonely miners, so she was there to keep many of them company, but it seems like she kept too many of these men a bit too close to her. Then one day, they found her dead with all of her gold being taken as well. Now her ghost is still lurking in the hotel seeking justice. Guests claim to see her sitting on the edge of their bed in the middle of the night based on the additional weight they feel, as well as seeing her walk straight up in and out of rooms and also standing in the middle room just staring at you. At our number 10 spot, we have the Crown's Casino morgue. There's been rumors circulating online about the existence of a morgue under or within the Crown's Casino in Melbourne, Australia. The rumor suggests that there is a secret corridor with walls that open up into the toilets, which are used to take away bodies of people who just have taken their life at the casino, which is supposedly a very high number, unfortunately. Some reports even suggest there are specific bathroom stalls designed for quick body disposal, but that's not confirmed. Although there is no concrete evidence to support these rumors, the stories keep on persisting and continue to intrigue everyone that come across this casino. Some websites even claim that the last stall in each bathroom is always occupied because it's connected to hallways to get people out who take their lives in the bathrooms. The reason for this high number is because many people believe that the Crown's Casino is a place of broken dreams and despair, where people are prone to suicidal thoughts as they gamble their life away. However, the actual number of people taking their lives at this casino is unclear, with reports ranging from 3 per year to as many as 30 or 40. Despite all these rumors as well, the casino denies the existence of a morgue on its premises. But some people believe that the crown would want to keep any people taking their lives under wraps to avoid any tarnishing of its image. And that would kind of make sense. At a number 9 spot, we have the Princess Theatre. The Princess Theatre in Victoria, Melbourne, Australia is a historic landmark that has been in operation since 1857. Despite its beauty, the theatre is also known for its ghostly inhabitant, Frederick Baker. Baker was an actor who tragically died during a performance of Frost in 1888. According to reports, Baker was overwhelmed by the play and suffered a heart attack as he was lowered down through the stage via a trapdoor into the basement below the stage. Ever since then, Baker's ghosts have been reportedly seen in this theater, especially when a play is taking place. He has also been spotted in the dressing rooms wearing more than one outfit and staring at the stage as if he's about to perform himself. The Princess Theatre has a rich history that began in 1854 when it was built by Charles Copin, who owned 2 theaters in Melbourne. The Princess Theatre was proclaimed to be equal to the Paris Opera in France, and now today, the Princess Theatre is owned by David Mariner and was the first place in Australia where the play The Phantom of the Opera was shown. It became so successful that it is now the longest running play ever shown in Victoria. And despite its success and popularity, the theater's haunted history continues to draw visitors and ghost hunters alike. At a number 8 spot, we have the Guyra incident. Guyra is a rural township in northern New South Wales, Australia, perched high on a volcanic uplift of the northern tablelands. It is known for being one of the highest places in Australia and one of the coldest. But on December 8th, 1999, a mysterious object fell from the sky and smashed into the local water dam, creating a crater and flattening an area of reeds in a semicircular pattern. Locals have been calling in actual sightings of a green light that had caused a loud boom about 30 seconds after being sighted. Space agencies, meteorological experts, and authorities have no record of a meteorite or space junk coming from down in the area at the time. Despite normal radiation levels, the water supply was cut while divers searched for this object. The incident hit the news in a major way, featuring prominently on all major TV networks, radio stations, and newspapers. It caused hysteria in the small town, with rumors circulating that a UFO had crashed at the dam. Theories ranged from a meteorite or space junk all the way to aliens. Police divers even discovered a subterranean cavern or tunnel which was suspected to have been caused by the object drilling down into the ground. However, the object could not be located and was speculated to have buried itself about 13 feet down into the soft granite of the earth. The official cause of the impact was now being seen as a meteorite, which was thought to be about the size of a grapefruit. However, there were no further efforts to retrieve it. Some people believe that officials were covering up the truth and that it was no meteorite but rather a UFO. 2 researchers from Phenomena Research Australia went to investigate and found some odd details that did not fit into the meteorite theory. The object still remains a mystery to this day, and this incident is still talked about as one of the most bizarre events to occur in the small town. At our number 7 spot, we have the Westfall UFO. The Westfall UFO sighting was a mysterious event that took place on April 6, 1966 in Melbourne, Australia. A group of students and a teacher from Westfall High School reported seeing a large gray or silvery green saucer-shaped craft descending over flying the school and then suddenly disappearing behind a strand of trees. The object reappeared 20 minutes later and rapidly climbed before departing towards the northwest. Some witnesses reported seeing 5 unidentified aircraft pursuing the object. The odd thing is that the local TV station 6 claimed to have footage of the UFO, but when they went to bring it to authorities, it somehow vanished. And you know how that goes. The Australian newspaper The Age tried to explain the sighting as a weather balloon, but a subsequent check failed to find any commercial, private, or RAAF pilots who had reported anything unusual in the area at the time. Several explanations have been offered over the years, with one of the most plausible being that the object was a runaway balloon from the Hibble project, which was used to monitor radiation levels after British nuclear tests at Mar-a-Lago. At a number 6 spot, we have The Devil Among Us. In 1979, tragedy struck a family visiting Sydney's Luna Park. While waiting for a ferry at the Circular Quay, a man dressed in a satanic costume with horned headdress and all approached them and posed for a photo with their young son. And little did they know, this would be the last photo of that boy. Because later that night, a fire broke out in a riot at Luna Park, claiming the lives of this entire family. The police found the photo of the man in the satanic costume, but were unable to identify him. The mysterious incident left room for a legend to grow, and that the devil himself was walking among the people of Sydney, bringing death to whoever he touched. The identity of the man in the satanic costume and the true cause of the fire still remain a mystery to this day. And believe me, police searched desperately in order to ask him some questions. And ever since that incident, he has been renowned as literally the devil around Australia. In the hump of our list, we have the Hawkesbury River Monster. It appears that every place has its own river or lake monsters. Sightings of the Hawkesbury River Monster, also known as the Mooney Mooney Monster, were reported all the way back since the 1800s, although Aboriginal rock art in the region describing a similar creature dates back all the way to 3,000 years ago. Most accounts refer to the sea monster as grey with a large eel-like body, elongated head, 4 flippers, and a thick tail. Allegedly, the water serpent may have been floating around Australia's shores since the Jurassic era. While modern legend hunters have yet provided evidence of the existence of Australia's own Loch Ness Monster, research has found that the creature may have been a large crocodile, catfish, or eel. And if you wish to go looking for this river monster, it's said that you can hunt it in Hawkesbury, northwest of Sydney, just in case you guys want to die. At a number 4 spot, we have the Wakehurst Parkway. A stretch of road spanning from Narrabeen in Sydney's northern beaches, the Wakehurst Parkway is well known to locals as a hotspot for paranormal activity, with many vehicle-related passings occurring around the 14.6 kilometer stretch of road. Spooky stories range from seeing strange humanoids on this roadside to unsettling urban legend of the girl Kelly. According to the legend, Kelly appears as a younger girl who either stands in the middle of the road or appears in the backseat of your car. Apparently, if you don't demand she leaves the car, the driver will crash. The road has also been associated with gruesome crimes over the years, such as in 1994 when 34-year-old Stephen Dempson was shot in the heart with a crossbow at Deep Creek Reserve on the Wakehurst Parkway. His killer dumped his body in the creek but later returned to dismember it, taking it and putting it in a freezer. 1 year later, the body of 21-year-old Francis Tizone was found just meters from the Wakehurst Parkway in French's Forest, where her body has been dumped after being strangled by her ex-boyfriend. At a number 3 spot, we have the Beechworth Lunatic Asylum. Beechworth Asylum, also known as Mayday Lunatic Asylum, operated from 1867 to 1994 in Beechworth, Victoria, Australia. Over those 128 years, over 9,000 patients died within its walls, and people claim that some still remain in it. Many see faces floating in the windows, while others see the apparitions of the people who passed there. Many have spoken of the figure of a man who appears near the cellar and then completely vanishes within a second. Matron Sharp, who spent most of her life there, has been spotted on more than one occasion appearing as a grey hooded apparition in the corner of dark rooms. Then on top of that, doors swing by themselves, and at other times, mysterious screams can be heard echoing across this place. Now, the area is used for tourism and artistic purposes nowadays, but remember, this place claimed the lives of 9,000 people. There's bound to be at least one of them there if you decide to take a visit. At a number 2 spot, we have the Otways Panther. Supposedly, there's been alleged sightings of the elusive big cat scurrying its way through the Otways Ranges, where the bush meets the beach off Victoria's Great Ocean Road. Supposed sightings of black panthers in the bush have been documented since 1830s, ranging from rumors of big cats in the bush by New Eastern migrants to sworn testimonies and videos taken in more recent years. All have given the legendary creature a similar description: a large black 4-legged creature very similar to a panther. Some explanations have been historical exotic animal trades or an evolutionary trail of feral cats in the area, while others have suggested that they may have come from traveling circuses or visiting soldiers years ago. Similar sightings have been reported in other states, including the Blue Mountains. It's said that you can encounter this beast in the Great Otways National Park, almost 3 hours southwest of Melbourne, past the RACV Torquay Resort near Apollo Bay, just in case, again, if you guys want to die. All the way at our number 1 spot, we have the Picton Tunnels. The most famous of the Picton Tunnels in New South Wales, called the Mushroom Tunnel, was the first railway tunnel used by the New South Wales Railways. During World War II, the tunnel has been used to store weapons and ammo. It was also said to be a hub of paranormal activity after a lot of people taking their own lives, murder, and accidental passings happened inside of this place. Many who have been brave enough to go into this tunnel have reported strange lights, cold spots, strange voices, and dark figures. figures. There's also whispers that a mysterious lady in white still roams the tunnel, inducing fear into anyone who's unlucky enough to see her. Is it just me, or does every place have its own lady in white? Because this is not a surprise anymore.
Starting off at number 10, Wakehurst Parkway, a stretch of roads spanning from Narrabee in Sydney's northern beaches. The Wakehurst Parkway is well known to locals as a hotspot for paranormal activity, with many vehicle-related passings occurring along the 14.6-kilometer stretch of road. Spooky stories range from seeing strange humanoids on the roadside to the unsettling urban legend of Kelly. According to the legend, Kelly appears as a younger girl who either stands in the middle of the road or appears in the backseat of cars. Apparently, if you don't demand she leaves the car, the driver will crash. The road has also been associated with gruesome crimes over the years, such as in 1994 when a 34-year-old Stephen Dempsey was shot in the heart with a crossbow at Deep Creek Reserve on the Wakehurst Parkway. His killer dumped his body in the creek but later returned to dismember it, taking it and putting it in a freezer. 1 year later, the body of 21-year-old Frances Tizone was found just meters from the Wakehurst Parkway in French's Forest, where her body had been dumped after being strangled by her ex-boyfriend. Now at number 9, Luna Park Ghost Train Fire. On June 9th, 1979, a devastating fire in Luna Park's Ghost Train ride, said to be the result of an electrical fault, claimed the lives of 7 people. 3 of the victims were Damien Godson, along with his father and 4-year-old brother, in what may have made for an eerie foreshadowing to the tragedy. Prior to their passings, the Godson family had been waiting for a ferry from Circular Way to Sydney's Luna Park, where they were approached by a satanic-looking figure dressed in a loincloth, mask, and horned headdress. The man reportedly came up to the family and placed his hand on 6-year-old Damien's shoulder, and a photo was taken. To this day, no one knows the identity of the man dressed as the demonic figure, but some believe that the horned man resembled the god Moloch, who asked for children to be sacrificed through fire or war, while others believe the man had been linked to a local satanic cult. Here at number 8, Ottawa's Panther. Supposedly, there have been alleged sightings of the elusive big cat, scurrying its way through the Ottawa Ranges, where the bush meets the beach off Victoria's Great Ocean Road. Supposed sightings of black panthers in the bush have been documented since the 1830s, ranging from rumors of big cats in the bush by New Eastern immigrants to sworn testimonies and videos taken in more recent years. All have given the legendary creature a similar description, a large, black, 4-legged creature very similar to a panther. Some explanations have been historical exotic animal traits, or an evolutionary trail of feral cats in the area, while others have suggested that they may have come from traveling circuses or visiting soldiers years ago. Similar sightings have also been reported in other states, including the Blue Mountains. It's said you can encounter this beast in the Great Ottawa's National Park almost 3 hours southwest of Melbourne. Here at number 7, Picton Tunnels. The most famous of the Picton Tunnels in New South Wales, called the Mushroom Tunnel, was the first railway tunnel used by New South Wales Railways. During World War II, the tunnel had been used to store weapons and ammo. It's also said to be a hub of paranormal activity. After a lot of people taking their own lives, murder, and accidental passings. Many who have been brave enough to go into the tunnel have reported strange lights, cold spots, strange voices, and dark figures. There's also whispers that a mysterious lady in white who roams the tunnel, inducing fear into anyone who is unlucky enough to see her. Is it just me, or does every country have its own lady in white? Number 6, Hawkesbury River Monster. It appears every place also has its own river or lake monster too, but you may have to see it to believe it. This is exactly what believers of the Hawkesbury River Monster claim to have seen. Also known as the Mooney Monster. Sightings of the mystic cryptid creature were reported in the 1800s, although Aboriginal rock art in the region describing a similar creature known as Mullywonk dates back to more than 3,000 years. Most accounts refer to the sea monster as grey, with a large eel-like body, elongated head, 4 flippers, and a thick tail. Allegedly, the water serpent may have been floating around Australia's shores since the Jurassic era, while modern legend hunters have not yet provided evidence of the existence of Australia's own Loch Ness Monster. Halfway at number 5, Yaramayahu. Vampire goblin, frog mutant, or mini monkey man? A cryptid creature also known as the outback vampire has been mentioned in Australian Aboriginal mythology since the Dreamtime. The Yaramayahu is said to be a tiny red man with a large head and no teeth, resembling that of a small monkey man or mini monster that drops from fig trees and uses suckers on the ends of its hands to devour human flesh. Though the idea may frighten tourists in the land of giant spiders and poisonous snakes, locals are much less concerned. concerned. While the tale of the outback vampire may have been used as an Australian bush urban legend, rather than proven sightings, you can look for the supposed creature in Red Centre Way. Number 4. Jandamara. In the 1890s, while working for police in the southern Kimberleys, Jandamara, an Aboriginal from Bonuba tribe, helped capture a large group of his own people. But upon seeing their suffering, Jandamara rebelled, shot a trooper, freed the captives, and stole guns. The story of an Aboriginal bounty hunter gunning down a white trooper raised local fears, and soon Jandamara became the most wanted man in the Kimberley. For nearly 3 years, Jandamara led police and outraged bounty hunters on wild goose chases throughout the area. His extensive knowledge of the local landscape allowed him to disappear at will, and helped fuel rumors that he may not have been human at all. When Jandamara couldn't be caught, the police brought in Mickey, an indigenous tracker from an opposing tribe. With skills equal to Jandamara's, Mickey did what was seemingly impossible for white troopers. He unraveled Jandamara's bush tricks, tracked him down, and supposedly shot him at his Tunnel Creek hideout. In the end, Jandamara's body was decapitated and the head sent to England to be displayed as a trophy. Number 3. Picnic at Hanging Rock. The story of Picnic at Hanging Rock tells of the mysterious disappearance of schoolgirls Miranda, Marion, and Irma, and their teacher Miss McCraw on Valentine's Day in 1900. The legend goes that the schoolgirls were drawn to the rock formation by supernatural forces, became dazed and confused, and were lost within the boulders and crevices, never to be heard or seen from again. The story originates from a novel by Joan Lindsay, who gave ambiguous answers when asked whether the story was in fact or fiction, and the haunting film only intensified to the legend. To this day, many people believe the disappearances were real, which still lures tourists to the area, much like the girls were lured to the rock. Number 2. The Bunyip. Unfamiliar to the sights of an alien environment, early European settlers quickly took to the idea of a bunyip being the new creature waiting to be discovered, and set out on foolish attempts to find one in the hope and fame of riches. To various local Aboriginal tribes, however, this wasn't the case. The bunyip was a malevolent force that lurked at the bottom of creeks and billabongs, ready to devour anyone crazy enough to wander down at the wrong time. Bunyips have been reported to have horses' manes, dogs' faces, flippers, fangs, tusks, 2 eyes, shaggy fur, short hair, horns, and to be as big as a horse and as small as a dog. This apparently is one myth that has been embraced by Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians. Some say the legend of the bunyip stems from the Aboriginal ancestor memories of the Diprotodon australis, a 3-torn bear-like creature that was the biggest marsupial in existence before it came extinct around 40,000 years ago. Now coming in at number 1, Crown Casino Morgue. Despite the casino reportedly denying its existence, rumors have persisted for years that Melbourne's Crown Casino has its own morgue to cater to elderly gamblers who pass away or those who have died by taking their own lives after gambling within their establishment. According to the legend, there's a secret corridor and doors open out in the toilets to allow bodies to be taken away because people taking their own lives aren't glamorous for all the people spending money they can't afford to spend on gambling. Apparently, a person who knows someone who works at the Melbourne City Morgue said that they do have a morgue at the Crown Casino. It's said that the several secret passageways throughout the casino and hotel allow for the discreet removal of deceased people without raising a red flag to other guests. Despite Crown constantly shutting down the rumors, many continue to still believe the creepy whispers. And that was the top 10 Australia scary urban legends. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.